Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the Doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week, we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions almost as like you.
Aha!
That's how I make it new.
That was really good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't know where I was going with it, but I think it came full circle.
I didn't either, but yeah, I think we got there.
Speaking of getting there, we got a review.
Let's have it.
From Spider UK, from the American iTunes.
Ooh, Spider-Rock.
Yes, Spider-Rook, with a 5-star review, under the title, The Funniest Podcast About Comics.
Hey.
They go on to say, I only just found these guys 3 days ago and have already listened to about 22 hours of their show.
Oh, Jesus.
That's right. Both Kyle Clark episodes.
Yes, well played.
I thought that was really good. I like that one a lot. These reviews are rolling in, baby.
Yeah, they sure are. We're going to be at 52 in no time.
I know.
We'll be at 52 before we put out the video episode we promised from 30.
I got half the equipment in.
We're getting there.
Yeah. I'm just waiting on
it's coming.
one more piece. That's all I need, and then we'll
To be honest, you caught us off guard. We didn't think we'd get there.
Usually have to put myself to get there, but
Was that the end of the review?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes,
Well,
thanks.
thank you so much, Spider-Rock.
That's Spider UK.
Spider-Rock.
In the name of
No,
Spider.
never mind. Spider UK, you're right. Yeah, what if the UK is for Ukraine? Wasn't the last one that we got a spider one too? Like from Colombia? Wasn't that like Araña something? Or like
it might have been.
Hombre Araña? Are we like where all of the Spider-Man fans defect to when they turn to DC?
We've in Ukraine, it's Spider Look. I don't know. I got nothing.
Spider-Rook, that's whatever a spider look.
What's that? Oh,
It's a spider everywhere. Chernobyl makes them giant spider. Here we go. Here is the Spider-Rook.
Oh no, the radiation not controlled. Ah! Have you watched that Chernobyl show yet?
No, I know I need to.
I keep from what I keep hearing is it's a well-made show.
I heard it's horrifying.
It's horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, not to make light of it.
All right, let's get to the news.
Let's do it.
So there is, I don't know if you've heard, but J.J. Abrams is finally out of his Bad Robot contract.
Yes.
So there's been a lot of talk about him apparently coming over and bringing all of his stuff to Warner Brothers.
Well, I thought it was done. Is it not done? I thought they had sort of closed the deal. It was like a $500 million.
I wasn't sure if it had 100. I know that they were
Bad Robot and Warner Brothers.
So
I know it's got the rumor mill really like swirling about JJ taking on a DC property.
Well, what a lot of people think is that he might just take over the DC universe.
Which, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with JJ. I mean, I think I don't know that I just generally like the idea of one person just sort of guiding.
Well, I think Marvel's
thing, right?
given us an example of that, right? Like Feige.
And he's done a great job. Don't get me wrong, and I love those fucking Marvel movies to death. But they're pretty much all the same.
Well, yeah,
and I love them. And they found a formula that works.
But
I kind of like what DC is doing right now, where like Aquaman is very different from Shazam, is very different from Wonder Woman, will be very different from Birds of Prey. Like. I kind of don't want to mess with that. The one thing I would say, though, on a DC side is that JJ is very good at sort of stripping away maybe the really deep lore, the stuff that people find daunting if they aren't familiar, and just giving you something that is still true to the spirit of things, but is very easily digestible. Like, look at the 2009 Star Trek, right? We don't dive super deep into like Kirk and Spock and McCoy and all of them, but he gives you a movie that it gives you pretty honest versions of those characters, but is really an action movie.
Well,
and that Star Trek movie is fucking fun to watch. Same thing is pretty much true with Force Awakens.
Yeah.
You know, it's, I mean, the story is, it's literally a shot for shot remake of A New Hope, but then you just get to enjoy him making it. You know what I mean? Like the spectacle of it. It's less about like, we need to figure out all the story points.
Yeah.
And so I think if I was going to give him anything from DC, I'd be like, here's the Justice League.
Yeah.
Here's a bunch of different characters that people have a passing knowledge about.
But it's a
make us like them, put them together, make it cool. And I think that would be my one thing where I'd be like, you know, like as much as, don't get me wrong, I do love those Zack Snyder DC movies. I love Man of Steel.
It's not getting rid of them.
I love Batman v Superman. It wouldn't be getting rid of that. But at the same time, you know, maybe diving into the full New Gods apocalypse thing is like a lot when it's not only for people that read the comic books, right? Like it is for us, but it's also for everyone. So maybe, you know, let's do Legion of Doom. Let's just have some recognizable villains, get like Lex Luthor, like do some shit like that in there. Get the heroes that we know, boom, 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 and let's make something with some cool spectacle and stuff like that. You know, I know that's an opinion that a lot of people wouldn't like, but you know, you do have to balance things a little bit. I would rather just have a Justice League movie where they're on screen and they are them, and I enjoy the movie, as opposed to one that's like super like deep in the comic lore and I can't watch it.
What I like, you know?
is
I like when JJ produces and he ties himself in with a mega fan for whatever the thing is. So
sure, yeah. I don't know that I want him to direct necessarily, like the examples that I gave.
But that's the thing. But as soon as he sets the tone and then ties in with somebody who has a lot of expertise in the field, I find you get the best of that product. So a great example is obviously I think that Force Awakens is better than the first one.
Force Awakens is the first.
Sorry, I think the second one's better than the first one.
Last Jedi. Yeah.
Last Jedi is better than.
I agree. I was going to say, we're going to have to
sorry
about this.
No. The Last Jedi is better than the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I think that the third Star Trek is better than the second Star Trek, or the first, to be honest.
Oh, Star Trek Beyond.
Yes, the one where
is not
one where
JJ directing,
and he ties in with Simon Pegg.
Yeah, Simon Pegg wrote that one too.
Exactly. So I find that like when he sets a tone and then finds an expert is when the product is the best it can be.
What's funny, the other rumor that is sort of swirled around that I'm sure is also equal. I mean, it's probably as true as a rumor can be, which is like someone in that office building is thinking about it, but like it's not like happening.
Yeah.
But the rumor is that possibly they might be looking to James Gunn too to be like, can you do a Justice League?
Which, I mean, we'll see from Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves and, you know, or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I'd be maybe equally curious about that one.
Did you see
Again, I don't think it's one where I'd be like, oh my God, I need Gunn's Justice League. But I don't necessarily think that would be a bad call.
Did you see there were some images that came out from some storyboards from J.J. Abrams Superman that was made they started talking about a few years back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had some storyboard stuff came out, so it's not like it's not in his mindset, right? Like
I have a hard time imagining that Warner Brothers is bringing in JJ at that price tag without wanting to attach him to a major
universe
set of intellectual property.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers also has the Wizarding World, but they've already got David Yates sort of locked down there. He's the guy that did like the last 3
that being
Potter
said,
movies and the first 2 Fantastic Beasts,
which have
second
been
Fantastic Beasts didn't land quite as well. But that's
both of them I don't think did very well.
First one did pretty well.
I think it did well because people wanted to see more Harry Potter, but I think that the general reception from it wasn't.
Liked that one.
Really?
Yeah.
I as a diehard fan, I hated both of them.
Oh, I really liked the first one.
For me, I feel like
part of the problem there though was the Johnny Depp casting. Is that they had a great casting in Colin Farrell, and then like you go with like the known abuser.
Yeah. Well, also just like a terrible actor
and a guy way past his prime.
Yeah. I just, for me, I found I feel like they're really like failing on this right now. I do think that
I wouldn't be surprised if he had some sort of hand in that though too, because that's another big intellectual property that Warner has. there's different ways that it could go.
The problem is they'll never touch Harry Potter again until JK's
They've also
done.
got the monster universe, don't they? So like, would it
Monster?
like Godzilla and that? Like, is that their way to get Godzilla versus Kong back on track? Or something?
I don't see JJ touching those because he like I think he's already done, like he did Cloverfield. Like I don't.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I don't think he's interested in getting
Cloverfield versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Wow, that's
10 Kong Lane.
I just I just don't get it. Yeah, I think the best guess is probably DC.
I would imagine
it's a thing that
he might just also have his own shit he wants. I'm sure he has his own shit he wants to do too. But
he's already storyboarded
where it's like if you do this for us, then you can also make whatever the fuck movie you want.
Yeah,
like there might be that.
I'm excited for whatever is coming next.
We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see.
It sounds really good. So on some other big news. Some sad news, Vertigo Comics will end by 2020.
Yeah.
But as Kyle Clark said, they died decades ago. But
well, I mean, it's not 100%, but it's that idea. Like Vertigo, when it started, was absolutely unheard of. It was like for mature readers, it was creator-owned.
They were trying to do something different. Yeah.
Telling stories that were outside the mainstream.
Yeah.
Very artistically liberating.
Some really huge tentpole writers who were sort of outside the scope of what was happening in the general media.
There's a lot more of that out there now.
Well, that's the thing, and it's bleeding into
which is one point.
A lot of the big two.
But the other point, and it's something that wasn't super clarified when they announced this, is that DC basically is...
It's not getting rid of those comics or anything.
For the most part, shutting down imprints. Like we talked about DC Ink and Zoom, the like young adults and the kids things. They're getting rid of the imprints, but they're introducing what they called basically age markings on their comic books. So I think the idea, hopefully, I mean, again, it wasn't very explicitly announced, is that Vertigo type books might still happen at DC. It's possible they wouldn't be creator owned, which would be a shame. But those type of stories might still happen under a different look. Instead of it being a Vertigo book, it would have whatever it's mature
DC
readers,
something,
But but I think it's part of a push to give DC a more cohesive brand, which as a business makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
As long as you're not actually cutting out the storytelling. So we kind of have to wait and see what that ends up looking like. But yes, Vertigo as an imprint will no longer exist, which is sad. It has a very long and storied history. Some of the best comics, things that we've talked about, from relatively mainstreamy Vertigo comics like Sandman and the Hellblazer to really out there stuff. They've been around a long time. And it's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but it's also
we also have Image comics. There's lots of creator-owned stuff out there, and I think part of what was nice about Vertigo though was having something that was a creator-owned sort of enterprise that was had the muscle of the big two. The muscle of a big company that was also go ahead, write your story. I think that was a thing that other places don't necessarily have. So that, if they don't keep up with it, will be missed. But I sort of want to wait and see what it looks like with this new sort of age stratification, classification sort of system. Because if they're still basically writing Vertigo books, if they still get to they have some creator-owned DC stuff and some work for hire DC stuff on the mainstream side, then I'm less heartbroken. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. We got an official trailer for Superman Year One.
Oh, for the comic?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you want to see it?
Sure, yeah.
Don't jump for joy too quickly.
That's Frank Miller, man. Oh, they left out the attempted gang rape of Lana Lang.
Oh, God, is that in that?
Yep.
Yikes. The art looks nice.
It's John Romita Jr., who, though iconic as an artist, has done a lot of work over at Marvel before he came to DC. I don't really like his art.
Really? I find that there's a lot of joy in his artwork.
it makes this is going to sound so silly, but given the context, but the thing I don't like about his artwork is that it makes me think of Frank Miller's artwork. So in a way, I mean, he's the perfect artist, I think, actually to work with Frank Miller, because I think they have a similar sort of aesthetic, but I don't like it.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's scratchy. I think it's super inconsistent. I didn't like his work on Superman when he came over to DC. He did a brief run with Jeff Johns writing the Superman title, and I didn't like it.
Really?
At all.
Well, that's okay.
But that's just a matter of opinion. Lots of people really love John Romita Jr. And as far as I can tell, the art on this is more solid than I've seen out of some stuff. My bigger concern with this book is the fact that it's Frank Miller, and why are we still letting him write things and pretending that he has at all a relevant voice in today's society?
Yeah, definitely.
Because again, in the first issue of Superman Year One, there's an attempted gang rape of Lana Lang.
Fuck, that is. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Thanks, Frank.
You're a swell guy.
Like, Jesus, we get it. You hate women.
Yeah, you didn't get that from like all of the other else he has been.
I know. Yeah, I know. I shouldn't be surprised, but like, really, like, I am constantly surprised that DC keeps going back to that well,
because it's the name.
All of the creators that have come through the hallowed halls of DC. Why do you keep going back to Frank fucking Miller?
Unfortunately, he sells books.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess.
Someone's got to sell it to those comic gators, right?
I mean, yeah. Well,
right?
Yeah, let's not get into that.
All right, next piece of news. We've been talking about it, and I think we assumed it, but we finally have an official ranking, a rating for Joker, which has gotten the R rating.
Yeah, that, I don't think it's a surprise.
It's not a surprise, but it comforts me. I think that, like, I mean...
Oh, sure. Yeah, you were worried the other way. Right?
I mean, we haven't gotten a lot of R-rated superhero movies, so anytime we get one, it makes me stoked.
Yeah.
Not superhero movies necessarily, but comic book titles, I guess.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That trailer got me more excited for that movie than I expected ever to be. Because I've gone on record numerous times saying that I don't need this movie.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
But I am curious about Joaquin Phoenix, like his portrayal. I am interested in general in the sort of aesthetic of the movie.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I really want to see more than anything, though, is I need to see some corpses with rictus grins. And I'm not sure that the tone of this movie is leaning that way, but it looks way more just like domestic terrorism, like the Heath Ledger one. But like, I want to see someone die laughing. Like,
yeah,
that's what I want from the Joker. I want him to make the gas. And I want people to die laughing. I don't think that's going to happen in this movie.
This seems like a bit more gritty.
There's like a little hope that I've got that like they'll find a way to do it. But
yeah, because it feels like they're going for a little bit more grounded.
It looks very sort of naturalistic, kind of like the Nolan stuff. Yeah,
even more so, I think, than Nolan.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Final piece of news. I have some mixed feelings about this, but Batman to receive star on Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah, I actually consulted my wife about this because I was like, do other fictional characters have stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? And she was pretty sure. I mean, for some reason, we didn't use the internet and look this up. But she was pretty sure that like Bugs Bunny has one, that there's a couple of characters, like Betty Boop, that there's a couple of characters iconic enough to have them. Again, like Batman is certainly among those ranks. It's very, very funny to me, though. I mean, all of us know it, but how obvious they're making it that they're like, Superman, whatever. Like, Batman's going to be the first one in the Comic-Con Hall of Fame. He's getting his star. Like, Superman.
Maybe it's like the year of Superman. And
if Superman does have a star, let me know, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
That's really
I think people that have played Superman may have stars.
Yes.
Christopher Reeve, definitely. He must have a star. There's no way he doesn't. It's a crime if he doesn't.
I have issues with this because there's a clear like lack of like female representation in the Walk of Fame.
Sure.
And the fact that Batman got one before Carrie Fisher.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's fucked up, right? Like it's a thing that came up recently and I found out she didn't have one, and that they also have
that's kind of outrageous, actually.
Yeah, and they have this weird their whole defense of the Carrie Fisher thing right now is that apparently the Walk of Fame has a rule where they don't give one to a person until 5 years after they die, which I'm just like, but you give them to them while they're alive all the time.
Is that just so it's not like they died, here's your star?
Yeah, I guess. But
right, but they've left Donald Trump's on the walk.
Yeah, well, exactly. And they just gave
it's not like they have the
Batman
moral high ground.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone knows he just died. So.
Yeah, well, it's been more than 5 years since the Waynes died.
Yeah.
So.
I have a lot of weird feelings about this. Like,
I mean, that's fair. You could certainly make a case for real people that deserve one more than a fictional character. But if we're just saying what's a fictional character that is like so
iconic,
that, like Batman's in there.
Batman's got to be number one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say like the Batman, Superman, Spider-Man must be like the three biggest. Although with the MCU out there, like sort of the second tier, like, Iron Man, Captain America's really got like boosted up. But I would say even still, right?
Batman's still the biggest.
Those must be the big ones,
right? Like
on that rubric, sure, give them a star. But yes, you're right. There are definitely people probably more deserving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real people.
Well, that's just a pet peeve of mine.
Shucky.
That's right. This week's theme is pet peeves.
Yeah, you know what really grinds my gears?
This is just an episode of what grinds our gears.
Remember how we've been praised for being such like a positive comic book podcast? Well, it all fucking ends today.
It starts with women writers and it ends with
Jesus. Yikes. Frank Miller is here.
Yeah. Well, keep it male and white. That's all this episode's trying to say.
Jesus. Yikes. That's not true.
Oh, we'll leave it up to listeners to decide.
There'll be a quick way to vet the listeners.
That's true, yeah. Thanks for all the new listeners. Goodbye. That's right, pet peeves.
Yeah, comic book pet peeves. This is the theme that everyone voted for in the Fanagar tournament of pandering.
That's right.
Through multiple rounds of ties.
Which is hilarious.
Which is wild.
You had to really congratulate them for finally making a decision.
It's like, yes. I was worried that I was going to I often do this kind of work, like the Twitter work, sitting on the can. I was worried that I was going to be like...
My legs are going numb.
I can't take this many shits. You have to decide. I can't keep going to the bathroom.
I can only drink so much coffee.
But yes, you finally came to a decision.
I've been eating pork and drinking coffee all day. I can only do this so many times. I'm eventually going to die.
You know me so well.
I know. See. Got you, boo. That's right. So we reached out and we got a lot of response because as much as you guys love comics, there's a lot of shit you hate.
Well, do you know what I'm only just realizing is that like people in fandoms are passionate.
Yeah, I get.
I'm discovering.
You know what? I guess so. Yeah.
You could call them passionate.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
But it's true. Passionate in the good ways. And then there's also, it can only happen both ways. You can't
I guess
be like, oh my God, I love everything. And then all the bad stuff be like, that was great too.
I guess that makes sense. I guess they would potentially be like angry about things, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that only makes sense in theory.
And again, for the record, you are allowed to like or dislike things, and that's totally fine. As long as you're not a dick to other people.
Yes.
So
you can be dick to Batman all you want.
We're not shitting on you for having pet peeves. We have them too. But just don't
Oh, and you're about to hear about them.
Don't barrage spam people's Twitter accounts with your opinions about what is bad.
That being said, let's talk about our opinions.
Let's do it. Let's barrage you with our opinions of what is bad.
Well, we can do so on Facebook.
Go to the face in the book. Go to the Facebook. Do you know what my pet peeve is? These fucking drawings.
You know what? That's what happens.
No, I'm done. It's over.
Finally. Hey, guys.
This is the Producer Richard podcast. You guys want to talk about microphones?
Here's a really cool filter on this one. See, what you guys don't understand is that Audacity actually has some really good sound editing capabilities.
We're going to go through the features today.
The cutting in on GarageBand is actually a lot better. Levelator actually does some really interesting stuff.
Your pitch for the Producer Richard podcast is as bad as my original pitch for this podcast.
Yeah. So I thought maybe I could just make a podcast where I say everything I know, and then people will listen to that.
I thought it was a good idea at the time.
Oh, You were so young and naive.
I know. Sweet summer child.
Well, our first question comes from Adam Upper.
Upper? I hardly know her.
I don't realize how many of these we have until somebody has to sit and listen to us
It's
do
when we have
everyone.
a guest that I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Get ready. Strap in. Adam Upper asks, or I guess
A lot of these are says more than asks.
My biggest turnoff is girls who don't like...
No ad-libbing.
People who don't like pina coladas or getting caught in the rain.
Eye contact.
When they don't say no.
Jesus Christ. Frank Miller really is in the room.
Yeah. Adam Upper says, my biggest turnoff is for an event story.
Sure.
All the inevitable tie-ins. Why? Just give us everything in the main arc. I hate that so much.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, event comics, we've brought up Kyle Clark. Kyle Clark hates event comics. Thinks they're the death of the industry. I don't share quite as grim an opinion. The thing I like with the event comics is they're usually things that we're like, let's explore what continuity is. That's where I live.
Yeah. You put lore and continuity together and you're hard as a rock.
Oh, I know. I'm there. It's like just exposition, mate.
Yeah.
But he does bring up a point that, often what will happen is the event comic will come out and it'll be like a main series. So one that we've talked about a lot is Blackest Night.
Yeah, we were part of that.
Was
Jail May.
That's right. And Blackest Night's main series was issue 0 to issue 8.
Yep.
But then there were tie-ins in Green Lantern Corps, which were still part of like the main story. And then sort of peripheral tie-ins like the ones that we covered, the Booster Gold ones. There were ones in Batman, The Question, like all over the place, basically. Those ones didn't necessarily feed the main story. I think if an event comic is done well,
mm-hmm.
it does what Adam is hoping it does. The main story you can just read Blackest Night 0 to 8, peace out, and you get the story. I think Forever Evil is a pretty good one for that, which is in
Ever Evil.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's in the New 52 when the crime syndicate from Earth 3 invades. That series, 7 issues, is pretty self-contained. But then there were 3 spin-off series that if you wanted, you could add to the story. Like, while this was happening, this is what was going on. And I think that event did a pretty good job of that. If you only wanted to read the main one, you're not really missing anything.
No.
And if you read some of the other ones or some of the other tie-ins, you were just gaining little extra bits. I think that's one that's done well. He's absolutely right, though, that there's lots that are not like that. Or I think the big pet peeve for me in terms of it's not the big events where they make an event title. Forever Evil's not an ongoing comic.
Yeah.
Here's the event. Here's 7 issues of this title. It's when they do like mini event, like when they stop just short, when they're like, this is one where it's going to go between issues of Teen Titans and Nightwing and, Justice League.
Yeah.
But then I kind of go like, come on. Like, I don't read all of those, but now I have to because that is the main story.
Exactly.
Right? Like where they stop just short of making it its own book. That's where that pisses me off.
Yeah. And for me, the biggest problem with it is that it feels like an excuse to get people to have to read way more.
I mean, spoiler alert. That's precisely what it is.
Yeah, and one of my biggest issues...
It's a business move.
One of my biggest issues with events in general is that often it's like, unless you've been following along with everything else, it pulls you out of it. With those mini events, it's even worse because it's forcing you to go into comics and then you're jumping into series that you haven't been reading.
That's not to say that I don't like any of them or that the stories aren't even good or anything like that. Sometimes they are. Like, I actually really enjoyed the Button crossover with Flash and Batman. But again, that's just 2 titles and you just went back and forth. But like I
also find a lot of the tie-ins.
The Lazarus Contract was one that was like, it was like Deathstroke, Titans, Teen Titans, and something else. Yeah. And I was like, that's too much. I don't read 2 of these.
I find that a lot of the tie-ins too also tend to be kind of weakly written.
Yeah, I mean, again, it really depends.
Because they can't do a good enough of a story to make it as good as the main story. So you're just kind of getting these sort of like,
I think it depends what it is.
Dick storylines.
I think if like the creators are like, I have a good idea for how we can do something together, then that's probably stronger than we need to move people into their starting positions for a bigger event down the line.
Like that
then that is where it's like, oh fuck, like we just have to get fucking through this, don't we?
Like that fucking Booster Gold one for the Blackest Night. It was just felt like a half-assed story, just so that they could make that story so it could tie in.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's not even one where you have to read anything else. Basically, like you can pretty much read it on its own because it's so disconnected from Blackest Night. Yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, I think I agree in general. But I think with the point it gets to like a main event, generally speaking, they're pretty good about being. If you just pick up the main book, you'll get most of it.
Yeah.
But it's when it's like those mini events where they don't go to the trouble of making it its own book. That's where I start to get pissed off because like I don't pick up a bunch of these books, and I have to decide like, is this going to be worth it, or do I have to, especially because up here I can't just pick a comic off a shelf if I feel like it. I have to like plan 2 months in advance. Like, do I want to see what happens when like Harley Quinn meets the Terrifics? Like,
and then are you going to read that and feel like you need to read more before it to even give it context?
And that's the other thing. It's so hard for me to plan it. I generally don't like those. Although I do kind of have a standing order at the comic book shop that if something crosses over, just to get me the crossover books. But
you have a sickness, you know that, right?
But actually, they'll usually ask me. They'll say like, this one feels like you want this, right? Or they'll be like, I don't know if you're into this. Like they've got a good sense of me, so it's not as bad.
The Snagglepuss one seems to meet Batman. I don't know if that.
I would do Snagglepuss.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Chad Bokelman.
Bokel.
That's right. And he says, do it, Doc. If you're going to finally give us a topic where the idea is to go negative, then just let loose. Doomsday Clock. Tell them we're not wrong for getting upset about these delays. Tell them how utterly inane it is to wait nearly 2 years to finish a 12-issue arc. Go.
It is crazy to take 2 years to do
Doomsday Clock, A Song of Fire and Ice.
To do 12 issues. And mostly because it wasn't like we knew it was going to be every 2 months from the start. That would be different, It's because it started like monthly, and then it was like, now it's every 2 months, and now these last couple of ones, it's like, every 3 months.
I don't know, next year.
And I think part of that is they're trying to line it up with something.
Clearly,
is kind of what's happening there. And you're not wrong to be upset by that, but it's such a good fucking book that I don't give a shit. I think I get more upset when it's like, I waited 2 months for this, but like
the ending of Game of Thrones.
Yes. Well, yeah, but right. But like each issue of Doomsday Clock has been better than the issue that came before it.
Yeah.
Issue number 10 was like, it blew my mind how good it was. And I sort of instantly forget my frustration. I mean, I think I've mentioned it. I've said like, I hope I live to read the end of it, but, it actually doesn't upset me too much because to this point, it's been worth it.
Yeah.
If issue 11 comes out and it's a hot pile of shit, then you'll hear me complain about how long it's taking for Doomsday Clock to end. But I think because it's so good, I'm like, do you know what? Take your time. I don't know if it's because DC's holding you up because they want it to line up with something. I don't know if it's because Gary Frank needs more time for the art. I don't know if they're making script tweaks or whatever. But if it's coming out this good, take as long as you want.
Do you think
it's kind of my perspective on it? I don't feel that way about everything or like anything that gets delayed, but specifically Doomsday Clock, I do feel that way.
Do you think they're trying to line it up with like stuff with Leviathan or something? Or
well, I possibly. I think there's a lot of stuff about Wally.
Mm-hmm.
A lot has happened with Wally. Heroes in Crisis and the now announced Scott Lobdell written Flash Forward miniseries that'll be coming in September. I think.
Mm-hmm.
But Wally was a pretty central figure in DCU Rebirth, and then in Doomsday Clock 10, we see it from the other side. We see the moment, in DCU Rebirth, we just saw Wally being like, I know what you did, but we didn't see what he was looking
summer.
at. Yeah, but we didn't see what he was looking at. In Doomsday Clock 10, we see Manhattan looking at him, screaming that.
Yeah.
So, like, he's in there too. I feel like the Wally related stuff is there may be like, we need time to get pieces in place so that it's not a complete clusterfuck when we're finished. Again, that might be it. It might just be that Gary Frank needs more time on the art, which is fair because the art's terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bokelman. I'm actually not that upset about Doomsday Clock. I wasn't even all that upset when, I was a little frustrated. Here's a good example of one that did bug me. Forever Evil #7 got delayed by like a month. But what that meant was, nothing else got delayed.
Oh,
and it was like a main continuity story, which meant I had to not read books I was picking up
because
if I didn't want to spoil the ending for me.
That's fucked up.
I had a pile of books
I
couldn't read for a month.
That's fucked up.
They did push issues of Justice League, but not everything got pushed.
Weird.
So the result was I was just like waiting until Forever Evil 7 so that I didn't just ruin things for myself.
Wow.
That one bugged me. But that, I think that's a reasonable thing to be bugged about, right? That delay actually had a cascade effect. Doomsday Clock, even though it is continuity, is so sort of in its own bubble that like, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if books were... When they initially pitched it, they were like, it's 12 issues. It takes place about a year in the future. We'll catch up to where Doomsday Clock is.
Yeah.
That's clearly not what has happened since. If that was, and then books were coming out and we were like, oh, but is that then I'd be way more pissed about Doomsday Clock. But it's in its own little bubble. It's not really hurting anyone. And it's so good. So it actually doesn't bug me. But in general, the idea of a delayed book, that I can kind of get behind. Especially if it has knock-on effects.
Side tangent, unrelated, but Wally West, someone did like a Photoshop of the guy who plays Archie on Riverdale as Wally West.
Sure, yeah.
I was like, I'm kind of into it.
Well, yeah.
That's kind of great casting.
Good-looking kid, red hair, sure.
Right? I mean, not even a natural red, but yeah. Good casting. I was like, I could totally see that if they pulled
the cosmic treadmill match the Draves.
You proud of that one?
No.
You shouldn't be.
I'm very ashamed.
Well, Dan didn't start the fire because he's Dan Dunn.
Yep. I love the drops where we barely skirt copyright law.
Yeah. Dan Dunn asks, overly sexualized female characters, especially in their costumes. Big pet peeve of mine, even though Starfire is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're entering an era where we're seeing less of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Starfire's costume now does a way better job of balancing the fact that she is sexy and curvy and sexual and sensual with actually being like at all useful in combat.
Yes.
I think we're entering an era where we're starting to find the balance between like they're still allowed to be sexy. We're not putting everyone in sweatshirts.
No.
But it needs to make sense, right? Like Starfire's old costume was like 2 strips of fabric that like met. It was like J-Lo's fucking dress. You remember that from like the 90s?
Yeah.
It was like that thing, or the Borat swimsuit thing.
I like your 2 references.
Yeah.
2 very extreme differances.
Both get me so
rock hard. Yeah.
I think the what's the name? Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor's run on Starfire was a good version of her costume, and the one that she kind of currently has in Teen Titans or whatever book that one is, it looks good. It looks like combat capable and things like that. Black Canary generally, actually, I would say has sort of escaped this thing
Really?
I mean, yes, she wears fishnets, but she almost always wears the leather jacket and things like it's never just been like she's never just been wearing like a bikini in combat. Like there are characters that have,
Jesus.
There's a version of Big Barda's costume that's kind of like that. But we're mostly seeing the full armor Big Barda now.
Yeah.
Black Canary in general, just pretty badass looking, but again, very, sexy. I think even Catwoman's costume looks a bit more utilitarian. They took out like the armpits, which is not an especially sensual area, but I think it's meant to imply like ease of acrobatics and things like that.
Yeah.
It's a little more character driven. We talked about how Power Girl's boob window has been covered up now with the crest of the House of Val. Huntress used to just have her costume just had a rectangle cutout that was her belly. It was like that serves zero function. That's even stupider than the boob window. But now Huntress has like an actual sort of combat ready outfit. Like I do feel like we're getting to a better era of that. Can you think of like, is there a hero that comes to mind where you're like, you're there to be looked at?
I mean, Catwoman,
right? Historically,
yeah. I think that one's pretty. Poison Ivy.
Ivy's funny, because you get some versions. Like I actually kind of liked the New 52 design. She sort of wore this black suit that plants could grow on.
Yeah.
So she was actually fully covered, and then there were also plants. And then you also get the version like from the Arkham games where she's just wearing like the boyfriend shirt.
Yeah.
And then she's just naked and made of plants. I guess she's technically Naked Plant Lady again after Heroes in Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
But that it almost looks like musculature. Like it almost looked like she's missing her skin.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit less sexy. Harley has definitely been a victim of this.
More newer than earlier.
Well, yeah, I mean, when she started in that latex full body suit, which is sexy enough, but then New 52 Harley, like if you look at the first issue of New 52 Suicide Squad, she's in a corset that is barely done up. Like it's just, like those strings are hanging on for dear life, and like booty shorts and things like that. Yeah. Like that's of particularly male gazy costume. But again, we're sort of swinging back around the other way now. We've found a bit of a middle ground where it feels like maybe she's dressing herself.
Yeah, a little bit. I always prefer the sort of like court jester look.
Yeah.
I feel like that's...
If you had to describe like what would you brought up Poison Ivy, for example. What to you is like your maybe ideal Poison Ivy outfit, one that sort of toes that line, that isn't too exploitative?
I like when they incorporate vegetation as her costume rather than an excuse to show as much skin as possible. While like I don't want the Adam and Eve, rather than I just want like a not Swamp Thing, but like something that's all like a bit more feminine, but still like as vegetation as the costume. I think that seems
almost kind of like original, like Silver Agey kind of Poison Ivy, eh?
Yeah. Well, what I like is the idea that like she moves through like areas using vines as extensions of her body and things like that, where it's you only see like maybe her face and then like the shape of a person, but it's
I see. Yeah,
that's the kind of thing that I really like, rather than like she's wearing clearly just like a bikini that's made of leaves.
Right. Yeah, understood. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say I agree. That is certainly I mean, if I were reading comics as a teenager, I would be like, no, I gotta see the boobs, probably, because I was a shithead.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, I agree in general with this pet peeve. I think the pet peeve that kind of gets me a little bit is sometimes costuming disguises someone's age. And what I mean by that is that New 52 Barbara Gordon wore a pretty classic looking Batgirl outfit. And pretty, form-fitting. You can see what she looked like. But Babs was also meant to be a full adult. Or whatever. She's meant to be the same age through basically all of this.
Yeah.
But when she got that redesign, like Cameron Fletcher or Brendan Fletcher, and when those guys did that redesign, that very utilitarian purple with the jacket,
and
the yellow like lace-up boots and that. great costume. But the way it was drawn, it made me feel like she was a teenager again.
Oh.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me until her new design came out, which is even tighter and sexier than the New 52 one. And then I was like, but isn't she
a teenager? Yeah.
And it's not like continuity wise, they didn't fuck that up.
Yeah.
But just like cognitively in your head, going from one thing to it. I mean, maybe that's also how we're conditioned to read comics and things too, right? It might be revealing a bit more about that than anything. But there was a thing for me where I was like, we went from that really cool kind of hipster outfit to a very kind of like classic female superhero outfit. And I was like, is she still like 17? Which she wasn't ever.
She's only 17.
She wasn't that ever, 17. But it made me think that. And I was like, oh, this, I really don't like that. Now I have this very visceral reaction against her current design that I'm just like, I don't like it.
Also, Winger, you're a creep.
Sorry?
Winger? She's only 17.
Oh. Is it less creepy if you're on the edge of 17?
I am 16 going.
Oh no, it's the edge of 17, like Stevie Nicks.
Oh, okay.
Just like the white window,
sing songs just like they singing.
Ooh, baby.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. That's sexy costumes can definitely be a problem.
Oh, let's funify this question a little bit.
Yeah.
What would you do to like a male hero's costume to make it exploitatively sexy?
Oh. Well, that's interesting.
Let's make this female gazy. Let's do it.
Well, you could take a Batman and just have like the bat symbol be like a thong on his waist.
Right. That it's specifically drawing your eye to his dick.
Yeah. Rather than like to his chest.
Right.
It's to his dick.
Yeah, I think maybe I would. Like Green Lantern would probably show more skin. I think he'd have no...
His ring would be a cock ring.
I think his outfit would just end at like the one-piece bathing suit sort of line. Yeah. He'd have exposed thighs, but boots. And he'd just have like long like evening gloves that sort of stop just above the elbow and then no costume there. So he would basically be in like a one-piece bathing suit. And then he would just have weirdly exposed bits of limbs. I think that would be my Green Lantern one.
It's okay. You don't see his nuts because we got some rings on there.
Jesus Christ. And I was going to make one for Aquaman, but I think I would just be describing Namor.
Well, I also think...
Namor the Submariner is basically like a female gazy Aquaman.
That's true. Or you just say... Jason Momoa and Aquaman. Yeah.
Permission to come aboard.
You really like that one, don't you?
Kelly McNeely, previous guest of this show, just watched that movie and was texting me during it. And she texted me, hair flip, permission to come aboard. I laughed so hard at this part. And I responded with, immediately climaxes was my reaction.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the point. All right, let's go to the next question.
Sure.
Chicken Matty. Matthew Poulter, that's right, asks, even if Frank Miller wasn't a gross bigot with some serious issues with women, which he is, his writing as of late should be enough to ensure that he doesn't get any more work. Well, we've proven that's not true. What is with all the constant weird word emphasis in each of his comics? And there's a photo that he references.
Yeah.
What was the photo?
I think it's on his Facebook comment. That
I couldn't find it,
but basically, like in a comic book, if you read comics, you may not have specifically noticed this, but there are words that are deliberately bolded or things like that sort of draw your attention to like key details. They'll tell you it's like a subliminal way of being like, remember midnight. Midnight is important as a story. Remember midnight. And they're used for emphasis. They're used to make sure you're referencing a character. Like there's different purposes for bolding certain words. And often a writer will basically suggest what words should be bolded.
Yeah.
The panel, it was from Superman Year One that Matt posted. It's basically Clark saying that he's gone and enlisted in the Navy because in Frank Miller's world, we have to take the most powerful man in the world and make him a military tool. But he goes and enlists, and almost every other word is bolded.
Oh my God.
It's like you're sort of defeating the purpose of bolding. I can't say specifically if this is Frank Miller's fault or the letterer. I suspect it's Frank Miller, and the letterer is just like, it's Frank Miller. I'm not going to.
He said to do these words. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in general, his writing is, I mean, it hasn't aged well, first of all, but it has deteriorated. It's not good.
Along with his mind.
Like, if you let's put aside cultural context or what you want out of a story, like morally or anything. He couldn't write The Dark Knight Returns again.
No.
Like, even if it was the exact same story, it would be so much shittier.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're long from the days of like Batman Year One, like that feast is over speech that he Batman gives. That's a great fucking speech. Really, really good. But like, he just doesn't write like that anymore. His dialogue's clunky.
He's a 62-year-old man, you know,
and I mean, he's got some health issues in that too, but he just also hasn't moved on.
Yeah.
You know,
well, and I think it's a different age and hasn't adapted, right?
You know, we used the term on the Heath Corson episode, but like Frank Miller's work is like museum piece material now. It's important. It did a lot for certain characters. It did a lot for the way comics are written and where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty much it at this point. We don't need more of it. And it's certainly not like a train I would keep going, you know, like it's declined so much, and it does kind of astonish me that we keep going back to it. I just feel like
super dated.
And I just feel like his dialogue's really, you know, if we look at like All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder, like that's the one where he, like, let alone the fact that the context of this scene is that he's like an abusive, horrible foster dad. But you know, that like, I'm that goddamn Batman, I can goddamn do whatever goddamn want. Like, that's your great Batman. Like, where's the Batman Year One shit? Like, it's so bad now. I can't. I try not to just overtly shit on particular creators. You know, we all left people we like and people that we don't. But Frank Miller needs to stop.
Yeah,
he's got to retire, man. It's done.
Absolutely. All right.
Are we just saying Frank Miller is a pet peeve, basically?
I kind of think we are. Yeah.
I will say, just on the note of the example that was brought up, you know, getting those bolds in the wrong place can throw a story off. Like the letterer is a job where when it's done well, you forget they even exist. You forget it's even a job. But when it's done poorly, it's like, oh Jesus! Like, it can really ruin it. You know, if you bold the wrong thing, if you make the speech bubble point the wrong way, it goes to the wrong character. I've seen that. You know, that shit happens.
Jesus.
If you fuck up the lettering, it really can ruin something. It seems from the outside, I think, like a very simple task, but it's very easy to fuck up.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's leave Facebook and head on over to Twitter.
Twitter. Yeah. I think that's the fastest I've ever done.
I think so, too. And it was tight.
Yeah.
Fast and tight.
Yep.
It's the guy you're looking for.
This guy.
Well, first question comes from our favorite sexy texter from space.
From space.
Cosmic DM.
What does Cosmic DM say?
What turns you off of a book the most? Has there ever been a good run of a book and a change in creative team that made you drop it?
Oh, I mean, technically, yes, but I don't want it to be because I should make it clear that it's not because the new creative team ruined it.
Yeah.
But I do sometimes hop off a book if the creative team I like is leaving.
Yeah.
I did that with Green Arrow. Yeah. I really liked Benjamin Percy and Juan Ferreira.
Okay.
I liked their run on Green Arrow in Rebirth. And then I knew they were leaving, and I hopped off. And that wasn't to throw shade at the people that came in after them, but I was just done. I liked the way that story was going, and that was just the way that book was to me, and I was like, I gotta free up room. Trying to think of a book where they like lost me though. I will say that during the New 52, I was really on again, off again with Action Comics and Detective Comics as titles. Mm-hmm. Batman, I was all about, and Superman, I was also on again, off again. You know, like I picked up because I was excited that Jeff Johns' John Romita Jr. run of Superman.
Yeah.
And I finished it only because I wanted to finish the arc, and then I immediately dropped it. I know other people took over, but I was like, nope, I can't. Like that one, and I love Jeff Johns, and I actually think that story is really good. And I liked some of the stuff they did in it. They introduced a new power called the Super Flare. There was some like neat stuff in there. But the artwork lost me, and I really wasn't happy with it. So I dropped the title, even though they were also leaving.
Yeah.
But that's one where a creative team actually like lost me.
That's understandable.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just, you know, maybe you're just not getting into it fast enough. You know, I shit on you.
I get that a lot.
I shit on you about the Supernatural thing because you always pitch it as like, get 5 seasons in and then you'll really, you know. But, you know, if I'm starting a series, like, for example, the Rebirth Deathstroke series in general is actually pretty good. But I dropped it after 3 issues because I just wasn't into that story.
Yeah.
The story's called The Professional, and I just... Even though I love Léon the Professional, I was like, come on. I wasn't getting into it. I wasn't feeling that excited, and it wasn't even necessarily like bad writing. It just, you know, different people connect to different things. It just wasn't happening for me, so I dropped that one. It does happen. Like I know I seem very like rosy in that, but I don't just like, I'll buy everything. I love it all. I actually, much to my chagrin, I even like books sometimes and I have to drop them.
Yeah.
You know, but those are 2 that really stand out though. Like I definitely dropped that Deathstroke one consciously. I was like, no. It was like recommended to me and I just wasn't getting into it. And then that Jeff Johns, John Romita Jr. Superman one, I was like, ugh.
Well, when Lobdell comes along, maybe you'll have a good scenario where you jump.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not picking up Flash Forward.
So there you go.
It's not like a stance because of what happened in Heroes in Crisis. It's because it's Scott Lobdell.
Yeah.
Who I've gone on record saying I actually like Rebirth, Red Hood and the Outlaws. I don't trust him with too much.
Yeah.
You know, because he also wrote the Red Hood and
Neither
the Outlaws
does his brain.
that I hate, the New 52 one. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, that's one I'm avoiding because of the creative team.
I find that I'm such a trade chaser that I generally am only looking for the creative teams rather than the characters. So,
well, yeah, and you also never find yourself in the middle of an arc and then returning the book.
That's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next question. Comes from Dave Rossi.
Dashel, turn off the podcast.
Dave! How's it going?
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Dave's not here, man.
Yeah, he's flying up to teach your wife about the value of Star Trek.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I told my wife about that, and she was like, oh, when's he coming? And I was like...
That's very sweet.
Dave, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. In every way.
Oh, Jesus. Don't make it weird. Dash will turn off the podcast.
Yeah. Your dad needs to be alone.
No. Wait, Dash will stay?
Oh, you're a freak. You're a creep.
Screw you. I'm not the weirdo here.
Sure. Everybody's kink, I guess. No kink shaming here.
What was the question?
Whatever. Batman. It bugs me that people say Superman's powers are the thing they hate. Yet, in an effort to distinguish Bats as a non-powered hero in a sea of superpowers, they've created an unbeatable hero with the answer to every problem. He's become the thing they hate about Supes.
Well, what do you think about this? I mean, this is a thing I feel like you can weigh in on. I mean,
yeah.
How do you feel about the sort of Bat God thing where he's always prepared? There's always a contingency. He's just a dude, but he's also the best at everything. Like, how do you feel about that as like a conceit?
Here's the thing. Superman already automatically has the answers, being his abilities.
I mean, sometimes.
Typically.
But you can't punch every problem.
But 90% of the problems he does. Batman typically can't solve the problem and then has to figure it out.
I think what Dave's referring to is maybe less the detective-y stuff and more the combat-y stuff.
Yeah. I just mean that like he has to earn every answer rather than being gifted with it.
Do you feel like Batman still earns it though? Because I don't necessarily hate it, but I do kind of feel what Dave is saying, which is just that, like, I think writers are just like, oh, and Batman wins because he's prepared, because he's super smart.
Yeah, it's just, I think that there's always an element of maybe he doesn't, maybe he can't. I mean, he always does, but that's just intrinsically superheroes.
Right.
But with Batman, at least there's an element of he couldn't. You know what I mean? Like, and there's plenty of times he hasn't.
Right.
There's only really one, the death of Superman. Batman's like had a lot more issues.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the thing people complain about with Superman is I think they frame it as he's too powerful, but what they really mean is like we can't see ourselves as him.
Yeah.
But I think what that isn't about the powers at all. Because, like, we don't give a shit when we're watching Thor. But, like, Thor is a guy who's, like, we can see all the flaws. I think the thing people can't relate to maybe in Superman is how good he is.
Yeah.
He's meant to be that sort of, like, shining example. Whereas, like, a lot of Marvel heroes have very kind of, like, quotidian issues to deal with and flaws that are on the surface. So I think people say he's too powerful, but what they mean is he's too good.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people's problem with Superman is. Until it's not, until they get a Superman who isn't too good, and then they hate it.
Well,
like
that's
Man of Steel, Batman v Superman.
That's why my two favorite types of Superman stories are either ones where they're not focused on his ability and it's more about the introspectiveness, or it's like Superman in space, because there's a lot harder challenges for him outside of the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general it's about the effort a writer puts in. I think it's very easy to just go, Batman is prepared, he knows everything, he's got a anti-speed force cannon or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very easy to do that. And sometimes that's fun. You know, like the setup to Dark Knight's Metal is that all of these hyper-prepared, like, Batmen turn themselves into Doomsday or broken into Speed Force or, you know, genetically modified themselves to be Atlantean or like that's a cool setup. It would be less cool if that was the solution. Like, the solution in Dark Knight's Metal is very little to do with Batman being prepared. Batman is actually unprepared that whole time.
Yeah.
And that's a more interesting story. And I think it can be a crutch that writers lean on, where it's like, oh shit, I got this far in the story, what do I do? And then it's like, oh, 3 days ago I planted a tracer on the...
It's a thing that it's the Flash TV show falls into that sometimes too, where it's just like...
I made a dampener.
Yes.
Yes, it's true. That's true. The Cisco thing is the example of some lazy writing.
Yeah.
I don't think in general I hate the idea of a man who is forcing himself to be so prepared and so on top of it because he's in the company of basically gods.
Yeah.
But it's about the execution. And I could definitely think of examples where it's like, really? Did Batman figure that out? Is Batman gonna... Even in the New 52, even Scott Snyder, who I think writes a great Batman, his Justice Buster suit that you see at the start of the Endgame arc is like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, come on. That's not how this works. He has mini red suns in the fist. That's not a thing. It's like, just make it kryptonite. That's...
Well, that's the thing, and that's part of the thing why I like when Superman and Batman are together is the balance. And I think that's why Batman versus Superman is such a thing, because it's basically brains over brawn in a lot of ways. It's pure physical ability versus like intellect. And that's when those are the best, rather than who can punch the most. It's more of like who can it's outsmarting versus sheer power. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think my ultimate thing is that I think the reason that people complain both ways is that like the thing they say they don't like about Supes isn't really the thing they don't like about Supes. I think we love seeing people that can lift a planet. Like, that's pretty cool. We like the Hulk. Why don't we like Superman?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's because he's too good.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that we like about Bats is that he's hyper prepared. But it's also the thing where it's like, but he's a dude. He literally cannot win this fight.
Yeah.
Like, I think though both of those arguments get twisted a little bit. We sort of forget what the actual like issue is.
Totally.
It does bug me sometimes, but if it's written well, you can do justice to both of them. You can portray the good in Superman and also his physical abilities.
Yeah.
And you could portray the smarts in Batman, but also the fact that like this is not an easy fight. You know.
That's awesome. Yeah, I totally agree with that actually. All right. Next question comes from Raspberries Reviews, the kind you find on a secondhand podcast, who asks, so has there been any time where in the comics they introduced some kind of storyline, but then don't really go anywhere with it and pretty much drop it completely?
Oh my God, all the time. Especially
it's called comics.
Especially when creative teams change, and especially if there are event books.
Yeah. There's a reason why the New 52 also exists.
Well, yeah, I mean, think of how many things were being set up in other books, and then Flashpoint happened, and it was like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a big example of like, we have this big corporate event thing that we're doing, and it doesn't matter what you've been working on.
There's a reason why there's only so many trades, and yet comics are constantly coming out.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know, and New 52 Aquaman, Jeff Johns run, there's like a bit at the end of a story that's like, this will be resolved in the 7 seas or whatever arc that never materialized, never happened. We only got the 7 seas in the fucking movie.
Yeah, that's when we finally...
Years later. That was the first time that, like, he was gonna... The Fisherman, that kingdom, was going to be Jeff Johns reimagining a Silver Age Aquaman villain called the Fisherman, who was just a guy with a fish hook, like a fishing rod. You know? Like, it was going to be a thing in the comics, and it never materialized there. We saw it in the movies later, but we don't always get to see it in a movie later. That happens all the time, especially when creative teams change, especially when events are involved. There's lots of examples of a story heading one way or that veering like way off, you know, like Rick Grayson. You know, Tom King set up the idea that Bane puts out a hit on Nightwing. That was meant to happen. What happened from there is not, I think, what was intended. Maybe what was intended was that, you know, some sort of amnesia, or maybe what was intended is that he was incapacitated as a hero. But the idea that he's like a different version with a stupid name, like that I think was not the plan, but they were like, well, this is what I'm going to do. You know, like that shit happens all the fucking time. Or, you know, someone's writing something over here and then be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if, not foreseeing that, like, whatever they've done might have a consequence in book over here. And then someone else has to kind of course correct.
Side tangent, but speaking of the 7 Seas, how fucking stoked are you for that trench horror movie?
I mean, I just want Aquaman too. I mean, like the trench horror movie's going to be dope, but like, I just want Aquaman too.
I like my certain superhero and I want more.
You know what podcast you're on, right?
I like comics. Man.
Next question.
Yeah, what's your pet peeve? Fucking people who love comics.
Yeah, fucking
idiots. But yeah, I mean, that stuff happens all the time. The 7 Seas one was a particular, like...
Well, it gotta be a painful one for you,
it's
right?
also Jeff Johns, right? Like, if he says, this is coming in this story, then you go like, oh, fuck, it's coming! And then it's just like oh, that's never happened. And, you know, the mantle never got passed. He was never like, you write this story. It was like, You know what I mean? People have propriety over things they've come up with. So
Just wait for the movie.
well, yeah, right. So it's kind of it does happen.
Yeah. All right. Next question comes from EC. Hey, it's not hard. It's EC.
You're really trying to come up with a drop, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Hey, don't worry. It's easy.
Let's keep workshopping it.
It's a piece of cake.
No,
It's
not right now. I
easy.
just mean general. That was easy.
It's a...
That was a specific Canadian reference.
What?
That was easy.
Oh,
The Staples button?
is Staples? No, Staples. Americans have Staples.
I don't think they do.
Hence the Staples Center.
Oh, shit. Dude. I don't know what the fuck America has.
Well, one of EC's biggest pet peeves is when a new character is introduced and has the potential for a recurring role in later comics or an adaptation of some sort, but then he or she is written out of the storyline or have a one-time appearance. How do you feel about this? So characters that you're just like, oh shit, this one's gonna be awesome.
Well, I mean, we kind of talked about this maybe last...
And then for some reason, Blind Scott disappears forever.
What a shame. We kind of talked about this last week with Andrea, but you know, like, there's not necessarily a ton of characters that get written and that like maybe don't have powers. You know, like just other supporting cast members. There used to be a time where there were lots of supporting cast members. It's not really a thing that happens now.
Are you talking about the people that work at the Silver City?
Oh, what a stupid name for those. Like, those poor people have to put that on their resume. They can't just say, I worked the concession stand. They have to say, I was a cast member.
For all of the American listeners out there, we have a series of movie theaters called the Silver City.
So stupid.
Yeah, and people who worked there had to become cast members. It's as bad as the sandwich artists at Subway.
I feel like they did that at Landmark too.
Did they? Oh, brutal.
Yeah, it was really bad. I just felt bad. It's like, you can't put that on a resume.
Well, especially
this job is useless now.
They could never have that in in those theaters in Los Angeles. Every time they had like an advertisement for cast members.
Yeah. Casting?
Oh God, I need this job.
You found a way to do it.
I couldn't know.
But no, we talked about this last week. You know, there's not a lot of sort of supporting characters that get brought in or things like that. And sometimes when they do, they'll bring someone in, you'd be like, oh, I like this dynamic. This is interesting. And then they get killed off at the end of the arc, or they go, thank you for saving me. I'm going to go do something else.
And then they explode inside of a giant Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Completely by accident.
Yeah. Was it? They say nothing safer than a Zeppelin. But, you know, like, then the new creative team comes in and they forgot that was a character that was in a arc and they don't bring them back or anything. So, yeah, these characters do get lost sometimes. There's a character right now in the run of Wonder Woman. I think her name is Maggie. I can't remember, though. But she's got an interesting relationship with Wonder Woman, and she's found this sword, the Sword of Antiope, but she's like a civilian. And they're sort of on these like adventures through the world of the gods and stuff like that. And I kind of hope this character sticks around. And I also hope she doesn't get powers. I really see her as like a cool human extension of the Wonder Woman family. I really like how she's written. I'm hoping that she'll survive past these sort of couple of arcs. But to EC's point, a lot of these ones, especially in the modern age, do not.
No.
There's a lot of characters that don't do that, especially ones that don't have powers. Sometimes you write in someone with a new power and people are like, oh, I like them. And then they stick around. But just like not even a sidekick, but just like someone to talk to, like a friend. Think like that's a character trope that is way lost to time.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
And that does kind of bug me because I do want to see more of it. But I think that's the best modern example of one that I can think of. And I want her to stick around. You know, if we record a year from now, you could ask me about whether or not it happened and how I feel about it. But yeah.
All right. Let's leave Twitter and head on over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them.
First question comes from Matt Hooshoothin. Mahusuthan.
Nice.
Mahusuthan?
Yeah, make a drop.
It's not a normal Huzuthan, but it's a mad Huzuthan.
All around me are familiar
Huzuthans.
Worn out
Huzuthans. It's a mad Huzuthan. Oh my god! Did you ever hear? Do you remember the band Evergreen Terrace?
No, is it a Simpsons? Is that the band where they're all dressed as Ned Flanders?
No,
when they play heavy metal.
No, that's like I think that's actually called like
that's
Flander,
the Oakley
Doklys.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Okay.
No. There's a band called there's a hardcore band called Evergreen Terrace, and they just do covers a lot of the time.
Oh sure. Yeah.
And they have a really good cover of Mad World.
Oh really?
I'll have to show it to you.
Nice.
It's a really, really good cover. Nice. So Matt Husathan says, is there anything that you absolutely hated, but everybody else loved?
Oh, interesting. I'm usually on the opposite end of that.
Usually you love everything everybody
dislike things, and I'm like, I think it's got merit.
That's really true. You do.
Oh, interesting. Something that I just hated.
And everybody else was on board
and
for.
Everyone else loved.
Supernatural.
I mean, I wouldn't say I hate it. It's just like Deathstroke. It just wasn't getting me.
Yeah.
I didn't make it to season 5 where it would really sink its teeth in.
Was there any like comic things that you despise, first of all?
Just general pet peeves?
Like, well, no, like, is there any like stories that you really hated? Might be an easier question.
I don't know that there's...
Oh, there's that Green Lantern that a lot of people like and you hate.
Well, that character, Guy Gardner. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that counts. And what's the... Emerald Warriors is a very Guy Gardner, rather, focused story. I don't hate it, though. I hate that character, but I don't hate that story.
Yeah. But
yes, you're right. I do hate that character. A lot of people love him, and they make compelling arguments for him. I just can't. This is not going to happen for me. It's too late for me. Go enjoy Guy Gardner if you can. But
and what's his name?
You're right. That's a very big one. Yeah.
And that Dr. Fate.
Oh, Jared Stevens. Although I don't know that was widely loved.
Oh, no.
I think I'm probably on the right side of history with that one.
Until they heard
the Guy Gardner one might be one where years later, if I like get a job interview at DC, someone will pull up this episode and be like, "You don't like Guy Gardner? Get out of my office!" Like, I think I'm right with the Jared Stevens thing. I think in general, I never really. It takes a lot for me to get to the hate point. There's a lot of things that I kind of go like,
yes, love the hate.
let the hate flow through you. You know what I mean? There's things I just feel like indifferent about, or I'm like, it didn't grab me, or even things I actively dislike, but I don't know that I get to the point some people get to where they're like, I hate this. This ruined the thing I love.
Well, that's the whole thing.
There's not very... I mean, I hate Batman Forever. But even that is like embellishing a little bit. I strongly dislike it. But I don't know that I hate it.
I have no problem like disliking.
But that's another example. Maybe a lot of people like Batman Forever better than Batman and Robin. I do not. I'm the complete opposite. So that might be another one that counts.
You know what? One of my biggest pet peeves, and I think it's for general nerd culture stuff, is that when people go like, "This ruined this thing."
Yes.
Because my whole thing is like, look, there's no way it unless it like specifically brought up information that made a part of the thing that you liked look pedophilic or something. Like, for the most part, like Bill Cosby ruined the Cosby Show for me.
Sure, yeah.
That I can say. But for the most part, generally, the new thing isn't taking away from the old thing. And it's a lesson I learned a long time ago that really helped me. Yeah, but generally, for the most
younglings,
yeah, for the most part, like the new thing doesn't ruin the old thing. Like, it doesn't make it bad just because that thing is...
just enjoy the old thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going like, now you can't have that anymore because there's a new version.
Well,
you just go, I'm just going to keep the thing that I enjoy.
That's how I feel about those Joel Schumacher films too, right? Like, I don't then watch the Tim Burton ones and go like, God, Jesus, the third and fourth ones of these were shit.
Yeah.
I just watched them and like, fuck, I love Batman Returns. Like, you're right. It doesn't retroactively ruin other things.
No, it's not a hair in your soup. Like,
There's not a Joel Schumacher movie where he goes back in time to Batman Returns and fucks it up. Like, that would be different. Yeah, I think you're right there, definitely. But yeah, I mean, Guy Gardner is definitely a thing I seem to be in the minority on.
Yes.
Strongly dislike Guy Gardner, and everyone else is all about him. Batman Forever, I would say, is another one. I seem to be in the minority on that one, even though I think my argument is pretty rock solid. But a lot of people disagree with me on that one, so I seem to be wrong.
Yeah, more often than not, that you tend to be fighting for the thing that everybody hates.
It's not even... yeah, and I mean, not even that I want to win them over, but it's just most things have some kind of merit. It's very rare that someone is making a thing
without any
deliberately
value.
Trying to fuck it up. Like, everyone's trying to contribute something. Some things are worth contributing more than others.
Yeah.
Like, some executions are poor and some are good, but it's very rare that someone's going to go into a project to fuck it up. So I think I'm always looking for the merit in it because someone is trying, right? Like, someone's working hard on it. So I think that's why I do that. But yeah, Guy Gardner, Batman Forever. Those are my answers.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. The next question comes from DJ Mal Brooks.
Oh, sorry. One more thing. The blue and white Aquaman suit. I hate that.
And people like that.
You can't see him in the water. I know it's camouflage. It's deliberate, but I don't like it. I only like it when it's worn by Thanatos. But I could do without fucking the blue and white Aquaman suit. If we never see that again, I'd be happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And another thing.
Are you done?
Candles that don't tell you what they smell like.
Smell it.
Midnight happiness is not a smell.
Oh.
Different things make people happy. Come at me, Yankee Candle.
Moving on. Next question comes from
paint names that don't tell you what the color is. Alarm clock does not say purple.
Are you done?
Yeah, I think.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Next question.
When they recap.
Yeah?
No, I'm good.
Okay. The next question comes from DJ Mal Brooks. Schwartz. Feel the Schwartz.
Ah, the Schwartz.
Schwartz.
Nice.
1, 2, 3, and to the Schwartz.
The Inquisition. Let's begin the Inquisition.
Wiki. I love that you just add a wiki and then it's done.
That's a DJ. That's what
Yeah,
a DJ
yeah, that's all they do.
Yeah.
Wiki, that's it.
I defy you to tell me what a DJ does that isn't just that.
I mean, I can't.
That's right, because I'm right.
All right. DJ Mel Brooks says, what are some examples of issues or arcs where the illustration or lettering or panel design took away from the story or made it more difficult to enjoy / digest?
Do you have any examples of this, even from the stuff that like we've read or I've forced you to read or things like that? Is there any where you that jumped out where you were like, oh, I don't like the way they laid that out?
Not anything particular. I'm trying to think if anything if it's ever bothered me. I know this is a big pet peeve of my wife's, who doesn't like just the way that they lay out comics in general.
It's also kind of a pet peeve of my dad's. He has a hard time sometimes when people get too creative with panel layouts.
Yeah, they get a little like liberal with it, and
he also has a hard time with that one. But you know, especially if you're just coming from the era of like 6-panel kind of. Left, right, left, right, next page.
Yeah.
I can't think of one where the panel layout took me out of it. Sometimes they get, like, if they're lined up a little weirdly, you lose track of which to read first. Or sometimes the letterer will put a speech bubble in a previous panel.
Yes.
But it's actually the third one you're supposed to read, but you almost read it before the second one.
Yeah.
Like that, it can happen. There are issues, even recent ones that I've read that do that, but it's not the end of the world usually.
Is there any pet peeves in the way that people do lettering that bugs you?
The one I can think of is this current Batman Who Laughs series.
Yeah.
So the Joker, since the New 52, basically has had his own lettering. It's a very particular font that is the Joker.
Yeah.
It's this very jagged kind of looking thing, which is fine. I actually kind of like it. It does it puts you on edge. Just seeing it, like, they're like, hee, and it's all on this thing. You're like, ugh. It kind of, it's actually quite effective as lettering. But for the Batman Who Laughs, he has the Joker lettering, but his speech bubbles are also black. So then the lettering, for whatever reason, they've done it in red.
Oh, God. Ew. Oh.
And if it was just normal font and red on black, I could probably read it. But
God.
The shade of red being against black and in this sort of jagged font, it strains my eyes. And I read it digitally. Like, the panels are bigger than they would be if I was reading the comic. And I have a very, very hard time even reading it.
Jeez.
It's almost illegible to me. That's a real big mistake. And I'm not exactly sure who to blame there. I don't know if the letterer decided that or if it was an editorial thing or whatever. But it's the combination of font, background, and font color. And it really takes me out of that book.
Not
because
okay.
I've got to stop. I've got to like zoom in. I've got to switch my glasses. It's really challenging. I hate.
That's why you bought those glasses with like the multiple lenses that you can.
I actually haven't bought issue 6 yet, like, because I can't.
Wow.
Because I just got so fed up. I was like, if I buy issue 6, I'm gonna have to read so much more. It's actually the reason that I haven't done it yet. I probably will get to it because it's gonna bug me that I haven't finished it, but it's giving me pause.
That I have a general issue with anything that's under 8-point font for type.
Sure. Yeah.
Where I'm just like, don't go smaller.
I mean, that's kind of the natural limit,
yeah.
I would think. Anything beyond that, you're trying to hide like a clause.
Yeah. That drives me nuts.
Visually, one thing that does kind of bug me sometimes is a lot of these heroes have different costume, like eras of costumes. It does bug me a little bit when an artist, for deliberate or otherwise reasons, kind of forgets what era they're referencing and gets the costume wrong.
Oh.
And, I mean, here's a weird example. Let's bring it back to Doomsday Clock. Since I know Bokelman was really itching for me to rip on Doomsday Clock, I'll give him something. In Doomsday Clock 7 or 8, the heroes of Earth go and confront Dr. Manhattan on Mars. And you see Captain Atom in his classic Captain Atom look, which he had in the New 52. He's had most of the time. So it's a pretty standard look for him. Except that there's an in-canon story from only a few years ago called The Fall and Rise of Captain Atom, where the story specifically was that Captain Atom lost control of his powers and exploded. When he reconstituted himself, the government didn't want people freaking out that it was him again.
Yeah.
So they made a brand new suit, totally different colors and look, and made him a new Captain Atom. Gave him a new, like, witness protection kind of identity. Like he was like a new person, even though it was him again.
Yeah.
That was the point of the story, was that he has a new look.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I prefer the classic look. I like seeing classic Captain Atom in Doomsday Clock. But it's just like, it's just such a... You can't even give me one panel of like, oh, you're back in the old suit, Cap? Or like, like just anything, some throwaway thing. It's like a whole 6-issue series where someone was like, what do we do with Captain Atom? We've had a hard time in the New 52. And they came up with this cool idea. They gave him a new look, regardless of whether or not you liked it. And then Doomsday Clock comes around. And the whole point of that look is that people think the first Captain Atom is dead. It's not just like he He's like, I need a change, and he like put on a different jacket. It's like his identity, right? That I was like, come on. Jesus. I will forgive so much. I just need a panel that's like, oh, they cleared your name or like whatever.
Yeah.
But they don't get any of that.
Jesus.
That bugs me.
Yeah, that would bug me. That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. With that, the Dr. DC podcast will be back after this quick break.
This episode of the Dr. DC podcast is brought to you thanks to our sponsor, Great Lakes Grooming Co. They sent us some products to try, and they're amazing. These guys have been sponsors of ours for a long time. We love their stuff. Personally, I love the beard oil. They come in a bunch of different scents. I really like the Clear Creek coffee. Maybe that's just because
Clear Creek coffee.
Did I say it weird?
No, I just remember I did.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Clear Creek coffee.
Thought you were negging my read of this ad copy.
Yeah, you're worthless.
Oh,
get over here.
I'm gonna try so much. I'm gonna try so much harder now. Basically, you have a shower, you apply some after it, nourishes your beard, and I've actually got the boar bristle brush, and you can run that through your beard after, and it's very nice.
I use it every day.
Stimulates your skin, and then
especially when you put it up your butt.
Not its intended use, but fun alternate use for that.
Just an added benefit.
I'm sure they'll love that.
Yeah.
The beard balm I also use too. Again, comes in different scents, but it's made from beeswax and lanolin, and it protects your beard from nature's harsh extremes. Great Lakes Grooming is meant to be easy and ready to use, rain or shine. All their products are purposefully designed and environmentally responsible. They're handmade in Canada. They're ready for adventure wherever one may find themselves. And you lucky listeners can get 10% off Great Lakes Grooming's regular price products by going to greatlakesgrooming.com and using the promo code DRDC Podcast. That's greatlakesgrooming.com, promo code DRDC Podcast. And now, on to the show.
Back to the show!
Great Lakes away!
Great Lakes away! Fucking dumbest thing I ever made. So stupid.
Loved it so much.
We're back!
Hey!
Oh!
Hip hop hooray! That's a ghost. It's a ghost.
Hip hop boo! I got nothing.
Yeah, hip hop boo ray is what it.
Oh,
right, yeah.
I was saying boo. Oh god, I fucking love this. Okay, we are leaving Instagram and we're heading on over to email.
Check the email. Oh, nice.
Yeah. This is my favorite one we've ever gotten.
Okay.
The name is Poon Tang.
Oh, yeah, right.
From the email pussy@vag.com. Just the level of maturity.
You maniacs. You maniacs making fake emails. Pussy@vag.com.
Well, have you never hosted your emails with vag.com? I don't understand. That's their client side service is just top notch.
All right, Poon, what would you like to know?
I at first I was like, is this my brother? But then it has nothing to do with a blue dick, so it couldn't have been my brother.
Oh yeah.
Poon asks, is there famous pet peeves that the characters in DC have? So is there things that just generally most people have issues with?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So, general pet peeves. Or is there pet peeves that the characters themselves have?
That's sort of how I...
Yeah. Let's...
I mean, does killing count as a pet peeve? Because Batman doesn't like it.
Yeah. It's just something that grinds my gears.
Yeah. Do you know what a real pet peeve of mine is? Murder.
When people like break the back.
What a unique pet peeve.
Yeah.
Right.
When people kill my parents. So it's just a pet peeve I have. Yes,
I mean, it's fine not to like it, but just look at how far you've come.
Yes, sometimes
perhaps you would say it was a blessing in disguise. That a guardian angel perhaps orchestrated events in such a way that you became the man you are today by dispatching your parents.
You know what pet peeve of mine is when the movie says it's going to come out at 7:30, but then it comes out at 8 p.m. and you maybe have been sitting there for half an hour with a gun in your hands.
In a cold alley.
Yeah, and it's been a little bit chilly, and all you want to do is a little pop and get inside a nice car, but that's not the way it is because you came out half an hour early, didn't it?
Sorry, Mr. Wayne.
Yeah, sister.
So sorry.
Yeah. When someone says they're going to keep cash on them, and then you give them a pop, and there's nothing for little Alfie. Jesus. Well, it's getting a little light, and little Brucey won't be turning 18 for a while that way.
Jesus Christ. I think we can probably guess at some pet peeves of certain characters. Like, I think, Clark and Lois almost certainly, that a guy like Steve Lombard, who also he works at the Daily Planet, but he's kind of a blowhard. He's like the sports guy.
Yeah.
He's sort of ethically dubious. And both of them have a problem with that. They're very like ethical journalists, right? It's about the integrity of the craft. Not about, getting courtside seats, not about like the perks and the fame or whatever. Like you can imagine that a pet peeve of theirs would be people like Lombard, right? Who are, they're working for this big sort of journalistic empire, but not using it for anything productive or good. Like, it's not like Steve Lombard is writing articles about how, inner city schools need to put more money into their sports programs. He's just like covering the game and like sitting in the box. Like, I think that's a reasonable assumption of a pet peeve that they would have. We know, for example, that like Carter Hall Hawkman and Oliver Queen Green Arrow do not like each other very much because they have sort of differing politics. Carter Hall typically, historically, is pretty right-wing, sort of authoritarian.
Yeah.
Very much like, if they didn't want to get the shit beat out of them, they shouldn't have fucked up. And Green Arrow's a little bit more like, there's a reason why these people are forced into a circumstance that leads them to be beat up. I don't know that it counts as a pet peeve, but like, they're certainly seeing something in each other that frustrates them, right? That, Carter Hall is more of an absolutist in terms of good and evil. I mean, that's changing in his current series because he's understanding his history better. But that's certainly a thing.
I bet Flash has some issues with impatience.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes. The Flash does not. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. He's not patient. I don't know that he would self-describe a pet peeve as waiting.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah, I bet
you're absolutely right.
But he'd be bad at the DMV. Can't speed up a line.
Yeah, unless he started working there and just like...
Yeah, he gets a job just so that he can get his own thing done quicker.
That would be a better use of your powers, Barry.
I'd love to see him with that sloth from, what's it called? The Zootopia?
Oh, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Zootopia? Your wife is like a huge animated fan. And
actually, neither of us have seen it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
I think I got weirded out by how many people wanted that fox and rabbit to fuck when the movie came out. I was seeing a lot of that kind of stuff online, and I was like, I'm good. I know that's not the movie's fault, but like...
Now that you mention it, Vag.com.
Dear pussy at Vag.com. Jesus Christ.
What do you think Superman's pet peeve is? People being dishonest, jeepers. When you don't hold up a door for a lady.
I don't know, lead wall. No.
Yeah, lead bathroom.
Swamp Thing's pet peeve would be littering.
Yeah. It might be a little bit more than pet peeve, but yeah.
That's just a pet peeve. He's fine.
His pet peeve is Miracle Grow. Plants should be grown using their own merits.
Well, that's not even
That's
true.
steroids for plants.
That's not even true because Alec Holland famously was working on a biorestorative formula.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Fair.
I mean, this is a weird way to phrase it, but the Joker's pet peeve is like people not getting the joke. That's been used in comics a lot, where the way to put him off his guard is to either
Not laugh?
or to tell a joke better than him.
Oh.
That's been used in the comics before.
Really?
Where telling a joke puts him, like in the cartoon, I think even there's one where Batman laughs. Maybe that's just with Harley, but like they're like, no, I don't like it. I don't like it.
That's really funny.
Or just someone like not getting the joke. That doesn't always apply. Like the Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo Joker is maybe too much of a serial killer for that to do anything to him. But that has been used in the past. That's a kind of a thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's too many comics that are just like, do you know what I really hate? And then they just say it. But I think you can make like logical leaps based on character traits and things like that, you know? Yeah.
You know what Robin hates?
His inevitable death.
I was going to say when Batman starts already sizing up his room for the next Robin.
Yeah.
You know, Jason probably would fit more of a size 7. Who's Jason?
We're just going to retailer your outfit, Dick.
Oh, don't worry about it. I think Joker was asking for you.
Hey, Jason, do you want a chance to prove your worth?
Hey, Jason, I know it's your...
I got this kid, Tim, I got to go interview.
Yeah, Jason, I know it's your 18th birthday, but I think that Joker has a few words for you. Hey, Bats, I feel like I'm getting a little big for the suit. Oh, you don't have to worry about that.
I've got to imagine Commissioner Gordon's pet peeve is the disappearing thing.
I was going to say,
where he turns around and the Batman's gone. That's got to bug him.
I thought his issue would have constantly having to learn new sidekick names.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason.
Well, no, he just...
not Jason.
It's easy for him to just calls them Robin.
Oh, that's true.
It's like, you're all different heights, but like, whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't think twice about it. Yeah, I do love that part in the Justice League movie where he turns around and
it's just the Flash.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh, that's kind of rude.
It is funny that it's only the Flash. He's the only one that didn't make it out fast enough.
Yeah, exactly. That's really... What do you think Aquaman's pet peeve is?
Right, so a pet peeve, so it can't be like something outrageous like ocean pollution.
Yeah, no,
it's got to be like I think Aquaman's pet peeve is
people pee when they're swimming.
I think it's people making the dig about him talking to fish. And they have addressed that a little in the comics, but I think it's like there is a comic in the New 52 where he goes to get like a seafood lunch like in Maine, and people are like and he's like, I eat too. Like, we don't have cows underwater. What do you think I eat in Atlantis?
I don't talk to fish. We just get each other.
They just know me, man. Better than you do. I'll have the fish fillet.
You think they're good on the outside?
Yeah, that's what I would say Aquaman says.
Yeah, I like that. All right, let's leave email and head on over to Reddit.
Where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
That's right. And the first question comes from Never Say Die, Iron Joker.
Very nice.
33. Who asks, what is the biggest change to a series that you loved that wrecked it for you?
Ooh. Oh, that's
a good question.
That wrecked it. God, let's be honest.
When they cast James Remar.
The elephant in the room here is Wally West killing a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah.
Killing a bunch of people and then trying to cover it up. Oh, another continuity thing that the Heroes in Crisis messed up is that in Flash War, which comes before Heroes in Crisis, breaking the force wall cut the speedsters off from time travel. But then somehow Wally is able to time travel in order to make the plot of Heroes in Crisis work. So that. Can I just answer with Heroes in Crisis?
Yes, I think you can.
Yeah. Which again, I've been giving the benefit of the doubt to, but I finished it now and I don't like it.
I tried.
That's
and
definitely it's the blatant disregard for something that was clearly setting up its own story. Just to make a story work, and that it's so wildly out of character. And I don't know what purpose it serves.
I can appreciate that.
There's no reason for it to be that out of character. It just is. Like, you just make the killer anyone else.
Yeah.
And then I could just be like, I wish it wasn't a story about a killer at a like mental health institution. And that would be my only complaint. You know? Yeah, it's that.
Yeah.
100% it's that.
That's fair. All right.
Do you have one in any of the things you've read or things like that? Is there anything in like even the stories that you like in Long Halloween or anything like that where you're like, oh, I didn't take that?
I always have an issue when they use, I mean, for me, it's just like a general thing. Like, it's never a big change that they've done.
Right.
It's always like they use death as like a thing.
Sure.
Because it's lost kind of all meaning. And we talked a little bit about in our like, I think we did a death episode. But
oh, yeah.
Yeah. When they try to use death as like this ultimate climax as like the big change. And you're just like, this isn't. It's never a true death, so it's just like it holds no weight.
Sure, yeah.
I think that's the thing that really bugs me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair.
Also, when they changed when Barbara Gordon became what's his name?
Oracle,
and then they changed that.
Yeah, in the New 52, that really basically undid it.
Yeah, that pissed me off.
Repaired her spine.
That shit really pissed me off.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because as much as how bad it was that she became that character, I think that
that character meant more to the universe than Batgirl ever did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was a bigger loss
for sure.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the last question. Comes from Louis Barlow 24. It's a lot of number names at the end.
That's Reddit.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many Louis Barlows out there.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, think about all the Louis Barlows you know. It's you get it.
69 of them.
The fact that he even got 24 was impressive.
Yeah, I know he got in early.
Yeah, that's right. Louis Barlow asks, Tim Drake's new identity as Red Robin. How uncreative could they be? And to make things worse, he still dresses like he's Robin. Can you guys brainstorm a new code name for Tim Drake?
Well, so before we do the brainstorming, yeah, Tim Drake. Actually, in the New 52, I liked his Red Robin costume. You know, Damian Wayne was Robin, Tim was Red Robin, but he had this suit where
Robin.
They kind of looked. It kind of made me think of like the Falcon. Actually, it kind of like he had wings, kind of like that were like red, and he wore sort of red and black and yellow. And that was a pretty cool outfit. I actually really liked that one. And you know, each feather was like its own like piece of whatever Kevlar or whatever the hell he's using. Yeah, since Rebirth, he's been back in like the sort of red and green, like a Robin costume, but it had like RR.
Yes.
And he's been Red Robin. That makes less sense because he's just dressed as Robin. Frankly, I don't mind when people share a mantle. I wish he would just go by Robin if he's wearing that.
Yeah.
Both he and Damian are Robins. I don't have a problem with that. We have multiple Flashes. We've been there before. That doesn't bug me. It bugs me a little bit. I think he's right that he's still Red Robin, but it's so not a distinct thing. Like he's not like Nightwing.
Yeah.
If Nightwing was still wearing a Robin outfit, I'd be like, what?
You're Robin.
You know? So I do kind of agree there. If you had to come up, I mean, I don't mind the Red Robin code name, though. That doesn't bug me. It only bugs me that the costume doesn't really match. But let's say we can't use Red Robin because it's too derivative, because it has the word Robin in it. What's a code name that you would come up with for Tim Drake when he moves on from being Robin?
Oh,
sort of given the general pattern of either birds or whatever that, or bats that are, there's Nightwing. We've had black bats. We've had, there's spoiler. There's Bluebird. We thought Duke Thomas was going to be called the Lark, but he ended up being the Signal. There's Batwing, Batwoman.
The Cock.
Just a rooster.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like actually?
Sure.
What would his outfit look like?
I think it could be basically the same.
Yeah. But with a crotch cut out?
Yeah. I don't get it. Why?
The Cock.
Just a rooster.
His penis. Because roosters have huge penises.
I mean, yeah, we do all know
Sorry.
that.
Peni.
Sorry, multiple? Magpie.
Magpie is a character.
Of course it fucking
Magpie is a character. What would I call him? God.
Chickadee.
Chickadee. What a lame name.
Save that for
That Robin's dying.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Chickadee. Chickadee. He was.
We'll never forget your Chickadee. What would I call him? You can't even call him like Blue Jay because
I know because there's already
that's a blue. There's a character in DC that's already called Blue Jay. Oriole.
Oh,
Let's think of other birds.
That's the thing, yeah.
An Oriole, but then he'd have to go with like an orange color scheme. Cardinal.
Yeah.
There we go. Sorry,
Yeah.
we both got there late.
There it is. Yeah.
Cardinal. Yeah, there you go.
The crow.
There we go. Never been used.
Yeah, 100%.
Never been. Raven.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Never been used. No, it's perfect. That's exactly what we want.
Hawkman.
The cockatiel.
Mr. Parrot.
But you can call me Crackers.
Oh, God.
I think that's it.
I think so.
I think we did it. But before we're done, we got a couple voicemails.
Ooh.
Yeah, so let's
let's have them.
listen up.
This is James Paulson from Michigan. I was just wondering, for comic pet peeves, are there any art, like styles or quirks of any artists that you find annoying when reading a comic that just take you out of it? Love your show and just joined your Patreon. Thank you.
Yeah.
Be like James.
Be like James. Be like James. Buy our merch. First of all, James, I didn't know you were from Michigan. All I have to say to you is 29 or 2 for 50.
I mean, what if he's not from a part of Michigan where that means anything?
I think it will be. It's most of Michigan.
Is
I'm
it?
pretty sure. Yeah. Kids clothes, $10.
Okay.
That's
Better hope he's from close to Detroit.
it's close enough. Yeah. He'll get it.
All right.
Yeah. So yes, any art stuff that specifically.
Well, you famously do not like Jim Lee.
I fucking hate Jim Lee. I hate when
But it's is it because it's so mainstream looking, or like what is it about that art that bugs you? What would you wish he would do differently?
I just wish that he'd have a perspective instead of just like the house style that he does. Like it just feels like it just feels it feels unoriginal and it there's no growth in it. There's nothing like uniquely artistic. It's more of like I'm doing a comic style rather than like I'm doing the Jim Lee style for this comic.
Right.
That bugs me
Sure.
a lot. I think that what I generally like.
Is there anyone with a style and you just don't respond to their style?
I mean, for DC specifically, I have to think about it.
You can cast the net a bit wider if you have someone else in mind.
So one of the things that drove me kind of nuts, and it is like a comic issue I have, is so the good example is the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina comics that came out first before the TV show did. That's where that came from. That really pissed me off because the art style on the outside of those books are amazing.
Right.
The insides are completely different. And that's one of the things that makes
having a different cover artist
than the inside. That's one of my
interiors,
biggest pet peeves is like when they are not the same. I'm just like, just use the same fucking artist. Like, why do a different thing? It's like, the whole like, don't judge a book by its cover. This is why, because the whole inside could be completely different.
Right.
If you've ever looked at, just like go to the comic book store, look at the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, look at the cover and go, that looks pretty cool. Then open it up and just tweet me about your response because it's fucking shit inside. Right. Great story, but awful.
Sure. Interesting. Well, I mean, I've talked about it already on the show, but yeah, John Romita Jr. for me is an artist whose style I do not respond to. I don't like it. And a big issue for me in that Superman run where they kind of lost me was just the faces and like even just the forms were so inconsistent. Like a face shape would change for a character. It's like that, like, and his style is a bit stylized. That's fine. Like I actually like a lot of very stylized stuff, but I still need it to be internally consistent, you know?
Yeah.
If it's like, what's his name? Ben Templesmith, who did Gotham by Midnight. That's a very different art style, but like it always looks
Consistent, right?
the same.
Yeah.
The thing that bugged me in that Superman run is that Superman's face, like the angles of his face were different from panel to panel. It was very, very inconsistent, and I found that hard to follow. I do think his art does a good job of conveying motion, but I just don't like his character work.
Yeah.
And even looking at some stuff that he's done from Marvel since, and some stuff that I know people really love, I don't like the look of his Captain America. It just doesn't, I don't respond to it. I know some people like it, and you're allowed to, and I won't shit on you for liking it, but I can't.
Is there any
It's not
like
for me.
general format stuff that you don't like when artists do?
I understand the idea behind it, but I actually don't like when a double page spread requires you to turn the book.
Oh,
Partly because it's just funny to read that way, but also because if you do it the way the book is laid out, and it's two sort of vertical panels side by side, but you treat them as one panel. The seam, like
always hides stuff.
The binding, you can hide it in the image. If you turn it this way, then now there's just a line cutting people in half.
Yeah,
like you actually can't hide that in the art as well as you can if you just draw it on its proper orientation. So I think that's something that would bug me.
One that drives me out is when they have the extra fold out.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I fucking hate that because it never goes away properly. It always ends up like bending something, or like like the fold where it's supposed to go ends up getting just bigger and bigger.
The one of those that I really loved though was in Forever Evil. I think it's Forever Evil #1, where it folds out and you see all of the villains of DC in it. Like I'm a sucker for that one.
I just want that as an art piece. That
I do have a hard time though sometimes deciding how to read it. Do you read both of the folded pages
and then
first
unfold
and then open it, or do you read one side, open it all up, read that, and close it and read the other side?
That shit.
I do have a hard time sometimes parsing that out. But.
Or I mean, this is just general books, and this is books in general. But the half fold, where it's just the one little piece.
Yeah.
The fucking. I mean, nobody's gonna hear that up here, but What's Up Yukon does that all the time. Drives me nuts. I hate that. Or like flyers. Ugh.
You hear me? What's up, Yukon?
Don't tell her. Don't tell Tammy. She's got a lot of opinions. All right. One more voicemail.
All right.
You guys, Black Lightning here. I hear you don't like my show, but that's okay. I'm dialing for you anyway. So, my idea for a character is he dials Hero into the payphone, and then he gets electrical-based powers. Don't ask me where he got the idea from. I don't know. And his name is Electricity. And the thing with his powers is it only works with a 20-foot radius. You can power anything up. And the only thing is, though, he has to get the majority vote of the people in that area to be able to actually use powers or not.
Electricity.
Thank you, Black Lightning.
Thanks, Black Lightning. This is Black Lightning.
We didn't get the vote, Jefferson. You can't use your powers.
Damn, dog.
He's never said dog.
That's not the shiznit.
He's never said that.
He basically has. That's whack, yo.
Jesus. Your version of Black Lightning is deteriorating. That's a good segue into Dial Doc.
Well, that's what I thought. That's the time we're doing Dial Doc. What that means. What does that mean, Doctor? Because you've had solid time. You even mentioned it when we first walked in.
It means that
you've had time to think about this whole episode.
It's
so
based on the old Dial H for Heroes, now sort of reborn in the Wonder Comics era, where you dial hero or villain into the H dial, and basically you would turn into a random hero or villain for like an hour or whatever the amount of time was. And so every episode we try and come up with a ridiculous, silly H dial.
Silly? I'm genuinely serious.
Do you have one?
I do.
All right.
Don't you though? Because you walked in saying you had one. So
no, I said I have to think of one.
Oh yeah. But you've had literally the last 2 hours.
I've been answering questions.
Yes, I have one. My character's name is Launchpad.
Oh, fuck you. It's on the fucking screen. You think I don't know what a Mac is?
This character's ability is to point at any object and turn that into basically almost like a bounceable sort of rubber adhesive sort of type of thing, so that you can bounce anything off of it.
Right.
So if you're working with a team, you can like turn objects into bouncy objects like trampoline type things, and people can jump off them.
Right.
Or if you want to use it as a defense for yourself, and you could throw a character off of something, make it bounce back, and then punch them.
Right.
Or you could use it with like bullets, where you could shoot a bullet and then it bounces around the room, or
Right.
things like that. Yeah.
Nice.
Launchpad.
Yeah, very nice.
My next one is called Garage Band
File.
OX10.
So mine is called Embossy Pants.
Jesus Christ.
And basically what this character could do is take any flat two-dimensional object and emboss it, make it three-dimensional, and command it. So they could do it with, drawings. They could do it with lettering. They could do it with just symbols or whatever. They can basically take anything two-dimensional, make it three-dimensional, and use it. They're called Embossy Pants.
Oh, it is what it says.
Yeah.
Huh. We would love to hear the type of characters that you could come up with, their residents.
That's right.
Their residents. Well, I almost dropped into my cowboy voice.
Oh, I thought you were doing the Mandarin from Iron Man 3.
Oh, their residents.
You'll never see it coming.
You terrorists.
Some people call me a terrorist.
We would love to hear the type of characters.
My name's Trevor Slattery.
Send us your ideas using the hashtag DialDoc.
That's right.
And give us your idea for, is it a hero?
We've
is it a
gotten
villain?
some fun ones.
Oh my God. Some
horrifying ones.
Some of you have really enjoyed this process, and just keep giving them.
Keep them coming.
I love it. Yeah. Or you can send us a question for next week's, because we are out of Fanagar, correct?
Yes, we are.
That's right.
Next week's episode comes with a reading assignment for producer Richard.
Homework. What?
That's right, because this is a fun podcast.
Since when?
Next week's episode
That's
is
a new change.
issue 123. So I thought, why not give
1, 2, 3.
Richard Flash 123,
Ooh.
Crisis on Flash of Two Worlds, the issue that officially introduced the multiverse, and then we'll be talking about Then we'll be talking about the multiverse. So,
ooh, fun!
So we'll be doing that reading assignment. But yeah, send questions just about the multiverse in general, about parallel Earths, about how it works, about what it looks like, or different versions of it. And that'll be next week.
That's very fun. I like that. Yeah. Send your questions for that, or you can just talk to us about nerdy stuff, about DC, about just general nerdy stuff that you're seeing online, whatever you want. All you have to do is reach out to us through our various social media platforms, such as our Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast,
our Twitter,
at Dr. DC,
Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast,
email,
Dr. DC Podcast at gmail.com,
Reddit,
r/Dr_DC.
That's right. That's our subreddit. And of course, the doc phone is now open. All you have to do is call us at 208-917.
3238.
That's 208-917-DCEU. And of course, not only can you talk to us online and you can leave us messages, but you can also read some DC specific articles, and you can buy our merch.
Buy our merch
on our website,
drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
And don't forget,
be like James.
Yes.
Be like James.
Be like James. Buy our merch.
Sign up for our
Patreon.
It's only $5 a month. You get a full bonus episode every week. We talk about comics. We talk about movies.
That's right.
It's not all DC. We have a couple of very insane improv-y things that we did up there that are also fun.
Somehow James enjoys the our Dial Doc improv session.
That did make me feel good.
Yeah, because I hated that episode. But now I love it.
Minestrone.
Miso soup.
If you want to find out what we're referencing, it's patreon.com/DrDC.
That's right. And of course, we're very rapidly heading towards 52 reviews.
Yeah, somehow.
The shit's picking up. So you can do it through a ton of different platforms, such as our Facebook account. But you can also, as long as it still is iTunes, go to iTunes iTunes and
do that too.
and leave us a review. I'm assuming when the new platform comes out, they'll just keep all the metadata and just change the platform. Eventually, the Apple Podcasts app will just come out, and we won't have an iTunes review to get because we'll have a podcast app for now.
That's right. Yeah.
Subscribe to iTunes, give us a review on there, or take a photo of one you've given somewhere else. Is it Facebook? Maybe it's through another podcasting app that you use that you like. Give us a review and help us get towards those 52 reviews that we're looking for.
That's right.
Because what are we doing then?
For 52?
Yeah.
Fuck, I actually don't know what would be like a suitable step up, like as a milestone.
We're doing the tattoos at 52?
I mean, I had initially made that a Patreon thing, but yeah, sure. If we get 52 reviews, then...
Oh my God, why did I say yes to this?
If we get 52 reviews, we will each get a reasonably small size tattoo. And
Is it a DC tattoo?
yeah, well, obviously.
Or is it a Dr. DC tattoo?
No, a DC tattoo. Let's not get too crazy. I don't think either of us want to remember this.
We will get a DC.
I'm going to get Colin tattooed.
We're trying to get rid of him, not put him around forever. I mean, he disappeared on his own fruition.
Yeah, it's just
I
gonna
mean, by accident.
I'm going to get a tattoo of him getting on that Zeppelin.
So I can remember it for always.
Just waving. I'll never forget his last words. I'll definitely return from this.
You know, Zeppelin's safe.
Sweet, safe hydrogen.
That's right. What could go wrong? Well, that's it for this week. We will talk to you. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you're going to hear more of us this Friday. If not, we'll talk to you next week on Wednesday. That's all for now.
Adios.
All the superheroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.